Welcome to the Lost Artistry Lash channel. If you're new here, my name's Caitlin, and today I'm gonna walk you through my service from start to finish. But I'm doing something completely unique. My client who's coming in has a really soft top line effect, meaning that there is no texture or wispiness to the set at all. But here's the catch. We have to change the look of the set, but she has an insane amount of retention. So I'm gonna show you exactly how I work with clients like that. Those who wanna switch up their lash style to something completely different. So we're gonna break this video into sections so you can take what you want and leave what you don't want. If you want to skip through this video and find certain sections, just head down to the timeline. We've stamped them for you, so each section is super easy to find. We are going to walk our way from start to finish, starting with our pre-service, working our way through our products, cleansing, how to get the best possible retention. And then we're gonna head into the good stuff, the actual set. We're gonna talk on application. We're gonna show you exactly how to remove lashes, even if they're not ready to come off on their own yet. And then at the end, of course, you get the magic reveal. I'm really excited to hear what you think about this set. So before my client even comes in the door, as you can see, I'm already set up. I start with fresh blankets on my bed. I always change these up between every service. Yes, it's a lot of laundry, but it makes the client feel so comfortable. And of course, sanitation is a must. I always do my consultation before my client comes in. The reason why is because it takes so much time to consult with your client when they're standing in front of you. And then on top of that consultation time, you also have to get the products ready for setting up. So I X-nay that. I do all my styling before the client comes in. I have them send me inspiration photos and photos of their eyes close up so that I know exactly what products I need for the set before they even walk in the door. I always start by shaking my glue. I never shake my glue by hand because it takes way too long, so I always use a gluberator. Trick with the gluberator is that you want to use it upside down, like this. Don't flip your glue upside down because the cyanoacrylate settles at the top of the bottle, and if you flip it upside down, what ends up happening is that cyanoacrylate, the good stuff in your glue, but also the harshest stuff, can get into the tip of your nozzle and it can cause irritations, burning sensation for your client, or it will prevent your glue from lasting a long time because you'll have used up that bonding agent before you get to all the rest of the components. So I shake for about 20 seconds my first use of the day, and then about 5 or 10 seconds every set thereafter. I am working with Quickie adhesive. My reason for working with Quickie is because it's a 1 second cure time glue, and I know with wet lash fanning, I am super speedy. If you are learning this technique, I highly recommend using a slower cure time glue. At Lost Artistry, we have Bondage, Invisibond, Cyano-free, and Sensitize. They're all slower curing glues, and they're all amazing with retention. The reason why I suggest a slower cure time adhesive if you're new to a technique is because it takes longer to perfect the fan or the method or the application if you're new to it. But once you get the swing of it, then you can step up your cure time, or actually step down your cure time. Lash-wise, this is really important, especially if you're someone who experiences retention issues. If you leave your lashes out on your station or like even in a drawer, they can collect so much dirt, dust, and debris, which can seriously impact retention. So if you have retention struggles, grab yourself a tile home because it keeps your tiles organized first off so that you can always have lengths and curls ready so you're not sitting there pulling strips out and putting it on your tile for every single client. But on top of that, it keeps them very clean and sanitary. If there's any buildup on your lashes, then that creates a barrier between the natural lash and the extension. And as that debris or the buildup or the dust or whatever breaks down, the lashes prematurely shed, causing bad retention. Curl-wise, this is gonna be interesting because I know that my client Marissa has very curly lashes on, but I personally think that if we tone down the curl a little tiny bit, it would look amazing. So we're gonna do some curl blending. We're gonna work with layers to our advantage and really bring two sets together to create one beautiful masterpiece. Okay, so my client's here, let's get her in. Cleansing wise, today I'm using foam cleanser. And the reason why I always choose a foam cleanser is because it's super easy to rinse off the lashes. This is extra important, especially for volume and mega volume sets. The reason being is because if anything is too heavy, it's gonna get stuck in and around the lash line and actually create that barrier that we were talking about earlier between the lashes and the extensions, and it can impact retention. So you need an easy to rinse cleanser. And specifically speaking about mega volume clients, you really want to do a super deep cleanse. Most often with mega volume sets, I even do a double cleanse before every service to make sure that that lash line is really clean. And you're not just gonna go downward or upward, you're gonna also get in between all of those lashes to make sure that the lash line itself is super clean and free of dirt, oils, debris, and buildup. Because the fans are so densely packed together, it's really quite difficult to get to the lash line. So we need to really get in there. As long as you're using a fine bristled brush that can easily maneuver between each lash, it's not harmful to the client's natural lashes, so don't be afraid of that. Just use a fine bristled brush like the Lost Artistry cleansing brush and just dive in. And just as it is important to deeply cleanse, it's equally as important to deeply rinse. So rinse quite a few times so that there's absolutely no product left on the eye area. And you'll notice that I went onto the eyelid and the under eye as well. This helps get rid of oils from the eyelid. So if you use techniques such as the Eyepad isolation hack or anything really, there's no oils getting in your way. And then the Eyepads will stick better under the eyes too if there's no oils on the skin. And then another really important thing to do after cleansing a mega volume set is to dry it, because it will really retain the water, again, because of the density. And you can tell her retention's been amazing. I didn't do her lashes last time, but the artist does use our bondage glue. And as you can see, the retention's insane. So she already has a super dark base effect, which is kind of nice because we are creating that Kim K strip lash style. So I'm going to utilize the shaping that already exists across the bottom. I'm going to section out my very outer corner, and I'm going to remove all of those lashes. And I'm going to also remove the inner corner lashes. I'm going to fill them with softer curls. And then the top layer, I'm actually lucky because she's had quite a bit of growth on the top layer. So there are some unlashed lashes there. So I'm gonna start by utilizing the unlashed lashes, put my spikes in there. And then if I have to remove lashes along the way to make my spikes look good, I'm gonna do that. And she likes dramatic looking lashes. I think I'm gonna go upwards of 16mm lengths today. It is important when you're changing your client's lash style to be honest with them about the realistic transformation. So for example, there might be a bit of an awkward transition period where the set looks good, but maybe not 100%. So just know what your limitations are and work within them, or remove the whole set and do it all over again. I'm using Unfold Aesthetics lash set for inspiration. Man, that girl is talented. If you don't follow her, do it. So I'm first gonna draw in my spikes. So on the very outer corner with any set, I always drop down in lengths. So I'm gonna put my first spike about here and a 14. And then we're gonna do spikes quite close to one another. We're gonna jump up here, 15, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 12, 11, and then my smallest spike might be 10. I might end up switching that to 11, but we'll see. I'm gonna start with that, and then I can always adjust as I work. And I'm gonna work with a mix of CC and decurl. I want more of a CC type spiked effect. However, when you move up past 14, 15 millimeter lengths, decurl kind of looks more like CC curl because we have gravity taking over in the fan and the lash being so long that it does kind of sag a little bit. So you want to kind of jump up in your curl when you do move to those longer lengths, and it blends really nicely. So CC for everything up until 15 millimeters, and then 15 to 16, we're gonna do decurl. But let me start by removing those outer corner lashes. Even though my tweezers have already been disinfected, no matter what, before I start the service, I dip them in Glue Gon to make sure that they are as clean as possible. And every time I disinfect my tweezers, I always use glue wipes to make sure there's no product left on the tweezers. That's so important because we don't want gravity to take over and have that acetone find its way onto the client's eyes. That could be really painful. In fact, any lash product that you use that's liquidy, make sure it's not dripping off of your tools. Primer, for example, I hear so many people saying that they got primer in their client's eyes and they're not sure why. And it's usually because you've oversaturated the micro swab applicators so much so that they're dripping, and then when you put it on the client's eyes, gravity rolls it into the lash line. So here's how I remove a Handmade volume fan. First thing I do is look for the tip of the natural lash. If that is not present, then I have to focus on the base. So I hold on to the base of the natural lash and slowly glide up the fan. Usually that works, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I'll show you another method. So I have a few that I work through. I'm not even gonna look for the tip for this one because I wanna show you how I do it if all else fails. Sometimes you have to literally pull the individual lashes out of the fan. This is a last resort. It's not ideal, but sometimes you have to do it. And just keep releasing. The fan will look mangled, and at some point, the natural lash base, the natural lash might become exposed, and then you can move to that method if you choose. Otherwise, keep on peeling. Definitely the most time-consuming option, but like I said, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. And then usually at the very end, you can see the natural lash, so you can peel. Usually when I'm looking for the tip of the natural lash, I have to move the fan around. And by the way, my head is completely sideways right now because that is the best way for me to see how the lash is connected, by looking from the side. Actually, pretty much everything in lashing is easier if you look from the side. Ooh, look at this lash. Okay, so this is a sticky. You can see that we have a base here where two natural lashes are connected to one fan. This is super damaging to the natural lash health, or can be, not necessarily is, but it can be. And the reason why is because when we brush through the lashes, there's this ridge and this perfect little loop for the mascara wand to get stuck in when you're brushing the lashes, especially if the lashes have been grown out. So it's really important if you come across these to remove them and separate them. See? But often, like what happened here, when you remove the one lash from the fan, you end up with a ridge like this, and that also can pull out the natural lash. So just remove this lash altogether. And in my personal experience, removal really comes down to the tweezers that you're using. I do not like removing grown out lashes with volume tweezers. I always use classic tweezers, and one with a thicker ball point at the top, not a really fine pointed tweezer. The reason why is because you need something to grip. With a volume tweezer, because the head is so thick, it's hard not to grip the lashes that surround. So using classic tweezers for removal is 100% the go. I'm working with our Ultra line because it has a thick tipped point, and it's definitely my go-to. Here we go, another sticky. We really need to remove these guys. And make sure your movements are very, very controlled. No pulling, like no pulling up, because then you risk pulling out the natural lash from the follicle. We don't want that.